Welcome to In Pursuit of Truth. This is your host, Sir Patrick Mac. Boys and girls, we are back. As a matter of fact, we never really left. I just made you a video. Yep, just saved it, and you probably just watched it. And Q was waiting on it. He was like, hey, IPOT, you almost done with that video? And I'm like, yeah, I'm almost done. Why? You got some more Q posts you want to add to my video? No, it's cool. I was just wondering, when you were going to finish with that one. I'm going to finish anytime soon. I'm just going to, you save this last thing and then probably upload it, unless, of course, you've got more posts that you want to share with me. Right now? Are you sure? No, go ahead and just, do whatever you're going to do. Okay, because I'm going to click save right now and, and then it's going to take me the next couple hours to upload them and stuff. So are you sure you don't want to add any Q posts? Might be a little easier to... No, do what you want. Okay, because I'm clicking save right now. Okay, go ahead. Click. Pop. And ladies and gentlemen, sometimes I'm not really good at expressing my emotions in words. So I made you a dramatic film to express how I feel. It's important to express yourself. Hey. I learned that way back in the day from Madonna. Yeah, oddly enough. That was back before her Baphomet stage or whatever she's going through right now. I don't know. What I do know is that I'm going to have to back up the release on this project right here. This was an audiobook project that I had scheduled for to be released on the 21st, 1900, or The Last President. And this is a book by Ingersoll Lockwood, who also wrote Barron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey. Now, oddly enough, I had a lot of people saying, yeah, I can't wait for your documentary on Barron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey. No, this is an audiobook of 1900 or The Last President. I didn't mean to mislead you there with the correct title, but there it is. There's the trailer if you want to check it out. But yeah, I scheduled this for the 21st. And I'll try and get this out as soon as I can, but with Q posting the way Q is posting, and of course POTUS undergoing impeachment, I have a feeling that we're probably going to get hit with a lot of Q posts, and I really need to dedicate my time to that, and I will try and get this out as soon as I can. So thank you guys for understanding, and like I said, I'll let you know, and then I will get this out as soon as possible. Let's move on. Post 3722, 28 minutes after the hour of 10, we get this old tweet from POTUS who says, the Mueller report, despite being written by angry Democrats and Trump haters with an unlimited money behind it, $35 million, didn't lay a glove on me. I did nothing wrong. If the partisan Dems ever tried to impeach, I would first head to the U.S. Supreme Court. Not only... All right, well, I think the idea that Q is pointing out here is that he would first head to the U.S. Supreme Court. And of course, this Twitter link just takes you to this tweet right here. Now, the thing I wanted to point out about this particular picture here is you can see it's a PNG, and we can see that it is titled Screenshot 2019 4/24, which is, of course, the date, April 24th, 2019. And then we see this at 22.21.50. Which suggests to me that this is probably at least part of an IP address. And let me show you what I mean over here. This is what is my IPaddress.com, and you can see here is an example one here, IP details for 198.22.21.50. So the same back half here of an IP address, which is what I'm imagining this is going to. Now, what that IP address is and for why it's labeled like that, I'm not exactly sure, but some of you people who are smarter than me can help me figure it out. But I'm smart enough to know that back then we weren't even talking about Ukraine yet. We were talking about Russia, right? And so it's amazing how they wanted to impeach him then when it was all about Russia, even though now it's all about Ukraine, and yet both angles they wanted to impeach. Doesn't really make sense, does it? No, and that's why POTUS is going to the Supreme Court. Let's move on. Post 3723, 40 minutes after the hour of 10, we get a link to the National Review, and this is called An Impeachment Roll for the Supreme Court. It's a rather long article, and to be honest with you, it's a bit bloviating, but I think what Q is trying to turn our attention to is basically just letting us know that the Supreme Court plays an important role in this whole process. Now, we're going to parse through some of this here, because we're the Allen Parsers Project. I believe it is clear that the authors of the Constitution did not want a president removed for anything less than a high crime, and that none of the impeachment efforts in history would qualify. Andrew Johnson had fired the War Secretary, which was his right, and he was narrowly acquitted in 1868 in the intense post-Civil War Reconstruction atmosphere. You could probably imagine there was a lot of partisanship there too. Richard Nixon was charged by the Judiciary Committee with having made it his policy to obstruct and having, through his close subordinates and agents, obstructed the Watergate investigation, and of having endeavored to misuse the IRS, not having actually done so, as Franklin Roosevelt, Kennedy, Lyndon Johnson, Obama, and others have done, and of impeding the impeachment proceedings by temporary noncompliance with House committee subpoenas. The last was an obviously absurd charge, but even the first two were not high crimes, and there has never been any conclusive evidence that Nixon was guilty of them anyway. But his impeachment case was a model of fairness compared with the present nonsense. President Clinton may have lied to a grand jury about his extramarital sex life, but that was not a high crime either in constitutional terms and was rightly judged insufficient to justify his removal. Okay. So that gives a little background of how it's gone down before. And then, of course, the National Review says here, the country must decide whether henceforth impeachment will be a routine clash between a House of Representatives and White House of different parties over policy differences or acute personal abrasions, as this is, or whether the authors of the Constitution meant and the national interest requires that it be reserved for accusations of high crimes on the same plane of misconduct as treason or bribe taking. And I think that a lot of sensible Democrats are starting to realize that. Maybe they don't like the president, but this sets a very scary precedent for them, because indeed, if their Democrat president takes over and we start doing this too, now we've got ourselves a true mess, right? Let me take you down a little further. Right down here, about halfway through this paragraph, when this clunker limps out of the House, after Pelosi has adequately whipped her congressional delegation to get it through the doubtless exacting filter of their consciences, the Senate should consider voting to send it to the Supreme Court to determine whether what is afoot is just a naked attempt to embarrass a partisan opponent, as it is, by attempting to incite public belief that President Trump may be guilty of a very serious offense without actually alleging one or citing evidence of one. And there, of course, we've got a nice little picture of Biggity Biden and his kid who's a full-grown man. This is not just the attempted criminalization of policy differences, but the defamatory rendering in legalese of the hatred, frustrations, snobbery, and psychiatric shortcomings and dysfunctions of the Democratic leadership. It is a mockery of the Constitution that should only have the legitimization of a hearing by the United States Senate if the one unimpeachable authority left in the American state, the Supreme Court, deems it necessary for this meritless case to be heard. Okay, so you get the idea there. This is likely to die in the Senate anyway, but it might not be a bad idea to take it up to the Supreme Court to really lay down the law and let people know that this indeed is not the way to go. You don't just impeach a president just because you disagree with them or because you don't like them. We all understand that already. I think most people who follow this channel know that there's a bigger reason here. This is the main talking point in the mainstream media for people who don't really understand the true nature of the deeper corruption that maybe many of us do. But if you're just looking at this as a partisanship kind of thing, then you may want to side with the president at some point, or you may at least want to see this play out. But if you know the deeper corruption that's going on, you realize exactly why they're trying to impeach. This is just to stall, to make sure that we don't really get anything done. And of course, that's dangerous too. However, this could lead us to be able to call all kinds of people of our own. And then, of course, we could hear from people, maybe even like a Hunter Biden, Adam Schiff, who really knows. But either way, it looks like POTUS is just fine with this going this way. And it looks like this is the way we're going. So we're going. Let's go. Post 3724, 52 minutes after the hour of 10, 10:52. 52. It must be done right. It must be done according to the rule of law. It must carry weight. It must be proven in the court of law. There can be no mistakes. Good things sometimes take time. All right, let me stop right there. I get this virtually every single day. Patrick, I'm tired of this. We're just kicking the can down the road. I think they're just kind of trying to placate us. Why don't we just run in there and arrest them all? All right. I want you to defend that logic, because here's what will happen. And let's take somebody like a Hillary Clinton, whom many people have killed themselves over trying to go after, right? She's left a lot of people in her wake. She's well protected and has been for not just years, for decades. So let's say we just waltz in there and arrest Hillary Clinton. And now she's got her sketchy lawyer, her sketchy bailiff, probably her sketchy law enforcement officials that performed the arrest, the sketchy jury, the sketchy paid-off judge, and the next thing you know, you're one shot at getting somebody like a Hillary Clinton. You can insert whomever's name you want. That person walks away and you'll never get them again. All because we want to go off this emotion because we want so badly to see arrests. It's got to be done right. And that's what Q is saying here. It must be done right. It has to be done according to the rule of law. Keep in mind, I know it's hard to believe that there's still a lot of people who really like Hillary Clinton, who really think that she was the one who got robbed in this election. So there's still also the court of public opinion that we have to go through. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not an easy task. And what the Q team is trying to do, what President Trump is trying to do, is something that nobody's been able to perform. Think about the other presidents who've tried to pull something like this off. I think we all know how that went down, right? So this isn't easy. And, look, if you're not buying into it, that's cool. Just don't send it my way. But, it's fine. You can feel whatever you want about it. But at the end of the day, if this isn't done with the letter of the law exactly showing the entire public how this went down, this could all fall apart. And it's not as solid as we'd like to think that it is. This is going to be an incredible battle, and we're going to really have to dig our heels in. Attempts to slow, block the inevitable justice will fail. Democrats' election interference 2016, Clinton, Hussein, illegal FISA. Democrats' election interference 2018, Mueller. Democrats' election interference 2020 will be impeachment. So Q is saying very clearly that this is their new plan, impeachment. And we kind of saw this coming a long time ago. We figured that it was probably going to be possible. And indeed, here we are. Projection. These people are sick. We, the people, are the cure. We are indeed. That's you. That's me. That's us. That's we. Us guys. You and me. You and I. Let's move on. Post 3725, 2 minutes after the hour of 11. Q adds on to post 3724 down here. You see, we had a whole bunch of people fired and forced from the FBI, and a bunch of people fired and forced from the DOJ, a bunch of people fired and forced from the State Department, people fired and forced from... You get the idea. We've been talking about this for 2 years straight, right? Q gave us a list of people fired from the FBI, and of course, at the top of that was James Nobody's Homie Comey, right? The DOJ. We've seen this. We've seen all the different people who have either been fired, forced, stepped down. Q has even told us who is cooperating, who is not cooperating. We've seen this. And of course, we've seen a complete cleaning out of the entire Trump admin, to which many of his detractors would say, that he is sort of operating this sinking ship. And we realize that what's really going on is that this whole thing is getting gutted. People fired and forced from the CIA, Department of Defense, Southern California. No, I'm just kidding. That's the Supreme Court. And that's why the Senate was so important, because we've needed to hire and install Supreme Court judges, federal judiciary, which is extremely important when we start getting things to court, right? Hired and installed new people at the DOJ, new people at the CIA. Still does not have the intelligence there quite yet. Either way, I think the whole point is that at some point we probably realized that this was going to come down to impeachment. And in order to do that, we needed to be locked and loaded. So now it's go time, and it's war. And I know a lot of people are kind of emotional today about this whole thing. Personally, I'm not. I guess I really kind of expected this whole time. I actually found it really odd. There was somebody who commented on my last video, "Oh, Patrick, you and Q said that Trump would never be impeached." That's not true. That's not true. I didn't say that. So that's not true. Anyway, the idea is that we knew this was going to come to a head, right? And in order to get this all done, we needed to lock and load all of these departments. And it's a massive cleaning. This is not an easy deal. Not a lot of these people wanted to go quietly either, right? So we have a list of this. We've seen this, and there's an extensive list. We're not even talking about all the different CEOs of different companies who have stepped down. There is somebody, I don't have it right now, but I guarantee you, if you scroll through the comments of this video, somebody will probably give us a link to the Google spreadsheet. Somebody kept a massive Google spreadsheet of all the different CEO resignations and whatnot. It's really brilliant, and there are thousands of them. And it's really hard for you to take a look at a spreadsheet like that and really not see how overwhelmingly deep this really runs. So this is a big deal, and we're part of something really special here. So I know that if you're feeling kind of emotional about it today, I feel you, but keep in mind that this is a long time coming for this plan too, and if we want to do it, we need to do it right. Let's move on. Post 3726, 40 minutes after the hour of 12. We get a couple of Fox links right here. They are both part of the Bill Barr interview, and both of them are about 30-second clips. So I made you a little mini montage. A mintage.
Oh, it's a montage, because we ain't trying to watch the whole dang thing now.
You believe that Durham's investigation is broader scoped in terms of the intelligence agencies that are being looked at?
Oh, yes. He's not just looking at the FBI. He's looking at other agencies and also private and departments and also private actors. And so it's a much broader investigation. And also he's not just looking at the FISA aspect of it. He is looking at all the conduct, both before and after the election.
He said, I was 7 steps removed from what was going on. The director doesn't get involved in these kinds of things, the actual investigation. Do you believe that?
No. I think that one of the problems with what happened was precisely that they pulled the investigation up to the executive floors, and it was run and bird-dogged by a very small group of very high-level officials. And the idea that this was 7 layers below him is simply not true.
So there you go. Just a couple of clips from the Bill Barr interview with Martha McCallum. I've yet to see it myself. I've been covering this all day, but it should prove to be pretty interesting. The first part there, he is obviously talking about Durham's investigation and how wide-scoping this really is. He mentioned numerous agencies. This isn't just into FISA abuse. Remember, FISA was only the cover-up of something so much more massive. So that should be really good news to the ear. And the second part, he is responding to James Comey's claim that he was 7 layers removed from this investigation. We all know that that's not true. 7 layers. What is this, a Chipotle burrito? I got your 7 layers right here. I got your 3727 right here. 1 o'clock on the dot. An anonymous post this. And this is kind of cool. This is a little graphic. It says 36 times Trump and QAnon have posted on a 0 delta. 0 delta meaning less than 1 minute after. So if QAnon posts a post and then Trump posts a tweet, and that happens within, X amount of minutes or whatever, that is considered a whatever number, delta, and 0 delta meaning that it's pretty much simultaneous. Let that sink in. And here we've got some science for you right here. And if you can't see it, on the left side here, these numbers are the number of posts, and the bottom number is the minutes from Q post to next Trump's tweet. And as you can see up here at the top, this little red dot of science here, 36 posts at 0 delta, meaning that we have seen 36 posts from the POTUS, Trump tweets, within 60 seconds following Q post. So if Q posts something and Trump tweets something, we've seen it 36 times in less than 1 minute. So you can see the rest of this science right here. There's some down science and there's some up science, and then there's some kind of bouncy around science. I'll let you guys check that out. Much higher than for any other elapsed time to next tweet. Statistical evidence Trump is coordinating tweets to when Q posts. Yeah, and I suggested before, I don't really know if this is true or not, but it wouldn't surprise me if, like I said, they were using some sort of relay switch, and a lot of this was automated, save for some of, these certain tweets that need to be reactive or whatever. But it wouldn't surprise me if some of this has been timed beforehand. Q says mathematically impossible. Now the JPEG starts off with an EL this time. Q says, what about when verifying new trip, meaning the new trip code? Remember, Q was down for about 93 days, came back up regarding Project D comms, and this is basically ever since we've kind of grown independent, 8kun instead of 8chan, i.e. calling our shot, standard deviation broken, greatest statistical anomaly witnessed, or yeah, exactly. I mean, look, this is proof enough right here that there's something to this, right? We've seen plenty of picture sets that show Q being in close physical proximity to the POTUS. And of course, we've seen lots of Q plus signs. We've seen a lot of really a number of things, whether it's from tweets, whether it's these zero deltas, whether it's confirmations from the POTUS. The POTUS made a couple of interesting ones at the rally today. There's a lot of signs that show that this is exactly what is up. Mathematically impossible. I know. What are the chances? What are the chances, John?
And down.
That was an unexpected answer. Also accurate. 37:28, 9 minutes after the hour of 1. Q's responding to an Anon who says, thanks for standing watch with us for a little while on this emotional night. We are with you and POTUS. Please pass that on to him. Q responds saying, friend and patriot, hold your head up high. POTUS was not harmed in any way today other than on paper, the history books. Now, I have not gotten a chance to see the entire rally. I mentioned in my last video, if you watched it, that I was going back and forth trying to watch it. So I missed a lot, and I'll have to catch up whenever I can here. But I did notice there was one particular protester that they removed, and it seemed to unnerve him a little bit more than normal. I'm not so sure if there was something there. Maybe there was something else that I missed. You guys can let me know. Either way, I'm going to catch up on it pretty soon, and I'll probably be able to see it. But we're glad to know that POTUS was indeed safe. And of course, this is something that we're always thinking about anytime he goes to these massive rallies, right? Sometimes you must sacrifice yourself for the greater good. I will gladly take all those slings and arrows for you, POTUS, but even that can be undone. The enormity of what is coming will shock the world. Pray, Q. Well, indeed, I think a lot of people are going to be shocked when they see what's up, and I think there's going to be a lot of things that are going to shock us in a lot of different ways. I do want to point something out here. Q mentions shock the world, and I thought about a couple of things. The first thing I thought of was post 3719 that we covered in the last video. And this was here where we were talking about the resignation of the CEO of DARPA. I mentioned that the beginning of this JPEG started with an EMF, which, I just took as electromagnetic frequency. It may have nothing to do with any of this, but it was just the first thing that popped in my head. Please don't say that Patrick is saying something is going to happen. Like I said, it just popped in my head. But I do want to point this out. This just happened in San Antonio, Texas. 4 people have been rushed to the hospital after a shooting at South Park Mall in San Antonio, Texas, according to KSAT-TV. The shooting occurred on Wednesday evening at 2310 Southwest Military Drive, according to police. 2 of those that have been hospitalized are in serious condition, while 2 others have non-life-threatening injuries, police say. But check this out. Police are looking for 2 suspects in a black Dodge Charger. They say they are not sure if this was a targeted shooting. Oddly enough, a Dodge Charger, just as Q is saying that something is going to shock the world. Connected? Not really sure. But I also want to point out, if you follow me on Twitter, over the last couple weeks, I mentioned not 1, but 2 different ads for crisis actors. Both of them were located in Texas. Am I saying that they are directly connected? No. But what I am saying is that every time we have a shooting, I seem to always be able to drum up an ad for crisis actors in the area. And in this particular case, we have 2. Now, they may be separate events. I'm not saying you can decide what you think, but these were from, one of them was from this company, Human Domain Solutions, on Twitter. So I found that very sketchy, but indeed I found this Charger connection sketchy too. So is the whole world about to feel the pulse? Hint, hint, wink, wink. Or am I just getting charged up over nothing? You can let me know down below. 37:29, 21 minutes after the hour of 1. Back channels are important. Know your history and you will know why. Indeed they are, and we've seen back channels used throughout world history, right? I suppose if we're just talking about American history, we've seen it in the Revolutionary War, and we've seen it in the Kennedy era, not just with Moscow, but with Cuba. And of course that was all tied together, but there were lots of embargoes, things like that going on. Henry Kissinger was involved. Shoot, the CEO of Coca-Cola at the time was involved in all this. Really crazy stuff. There is a book about it entitled BackChannel to Cuba. I have not read it, but I've saw it on Amazon. I thought it was really curious. William M. Leo Grand looks very interesting. I don't know if some of you have read it. You can let me know if you have. But either way, and you could even argue that 8chan or 8kun is also a back channel, right? Back channels are indeed important. And we've also seen this historically with Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump. Remember all that suspect stuff when Vladimir Putin handed Trump the soccer ball, and we theorized whether or not there was a little microchip in that soccer ball. We showed that the original soccer ball is actually built in with a chip. This was a unique soccer ball that was being used for the World Cup. So there was some teeth to this whole thing, but of course we were theorizing. But either way, even if that's not true, we do know that back channels are important this way. Also, back channels are used among a network of computers, right, to maintain sort of a real-time conversation. And like I said, you could argue that 8kun is sort of a back channel because you're coupling that with real-time talk, whether it's POTUS tweets and things like that. That is a back channel itself. We are operating a back channel. Know your history and you will know why. Well, indeed, you can see how our numbers are growing. This is an important movement. This is a pretty important thing, and it's so important that the mainstream media hates us, and there's a lot of people that would like to take it down. Seems like a pretty important back channel to me. Let's move on. Post 3730, 16 minutes after the hour of 2, we get a Twitter status to QAnon Michelle. We're going to check that out in just a second, but she gets a special shout out and a special thank you from not just Q, but Q Plus. And if you don't know who Q Plus is by now, you better ask somebody. That sounds like the POTUS himself, the big chief, the big kahuna, El Jefe. Anyway, it takes you to Michelle QAnon. And Michelle QAnon, this is at QAnon Michelle on Twitter. She follows this channel, so I want you to do me a favor. I want you to shower her with some love here. Right now, she's got 2.4K likes on her dancing video here, and we're going to see that. And I'm sorry, Michelle, I can't play the music because even though this is a Q endorsed song, Michelle QAnon dancing to a Q endorsed song. Well, it's Q endorsed, but sadly, it's not YouTube endorsed, so I'll get hit with copyright. But she ends up getting down. She's got some sweet moves here, and she shows it off, and I really want to make sure that you guys see it, so I am going to link this down below so that you can go right to her status, give her a like, give her a comment, shower her with some love down below, because hopefully she'll see it. She follows, so I imagine she'll see this video. But look at her, she's getting down. She's like, what? Impeach this. Impeach these nuts. It's like Pootie Tang. Remember Pootie Tang when he was dodging the bullets? She's like, I ain't got time for your impeachment. Anyway, she's got a great talent and she's sharing it, so please shower her with love. And Michelle, thanks so much for sharing with us your art. I want people to go right to your channel so they can actually hear the song for themselves, but as you can see, she's getting down. She ain't got time for your impeachment. So once more, congratulations to at QAnon Michelle, who got the ultimate shout out from the POTUS on the day that he gets impeached. You got a totes from the POTUS. You know what else is pretty sweet? We just passed 18,000 subscribers here on BitChute. Thanks to all of you who've been joining me over here. I know it's been a little problem getting some videos uploaded here, but BitChute has been very good about responding to me and working with me, and they are adding some staff over there. So hang with them as we try and get through this whole thing. But thanks for joining me over here. If we can get it up to 20K, I smell cake bacon. All right, boys and girls, those are your Q posts for now. All my alternate links are down below. Please check them out. If you've got information, please email me. That's down below. My PO box is down below. And if you'd like to support this work, my Patreon is also down below. It's all down below. Everything's down below except for me because I'm getting out of here. This is Sir Patrick Mack, and until next time, stay funky.